Hello everybody, my name is Darkslayer TV, and welcome to the first development log for Swords, Magic, and Bullets. Swords, Magic, and Bullets is going to be a retro first-person shooter where it takes place in like a fantasy environment. So we have different things like you can see here: barbarians, mages, rogues, like this little guy here. Except we're a big gun arsenal wielding badass like Duke Nukem or Serious Sam. And while I'm not quite to alpha, I am getting a little bit close. So I wanted to go through some of the major systems I've created and some of the struggles I've had getting to this point. Right now, this is actually what it looks like whenever I'm editing. However, I will let you know this is not actually what the game is going to look like. We have a couple of volumes that I need to turn on. Like for example, the directional light, I'm actually bringing this down to 0.1. I'm using the directional light as a way to have like a little bit of a global illumination so the dark spots aren't super dark and the player can actually see regardless. And then in the post-processing volume, I've created a pixelation material. I used the YouTube video to make this work because I'm not a huge pro with materials at all. And we bring the strength up to about 5, and you'll see that it pixelates the screen. And now we have a little bit more of that retro look and feel to our game, but still a little bit of a modern twist where you can tell that some of the details are a bit better than those old retro models. Before we get too much into the systems, I think what I'm going to do is actually just hit the play button and show you a little bit of what I've already got implemented. Alright, so you can see that I've already got a little bit of the HUD working. You can see the game is going to have secrets like any good retro shooter. You can see at the bottom left there we've got health and armor. Those are just random default values I had for testing. And you can see that I have the frame rate listed as well. Very normal to have a little bit of a lower frame rate. We're still in engine, and I have no optimization in the lighting and things like that. Plus I'm recording the video. But anyway, like any good retro shooter, we start with a melee weapon instead of a ranged weapon. You can see we got a little bit of a cooldown there. On our swing, we'll go ahead and pull our guy here who runs in and try to hit us. And as you can see, he does hit us. We do lose health. And the armor does actually calculate losing less health than if we didn't have the armor. I can go into detail about exactly how I'm calculating that if you guys would like, but we've got some health pickups here that will bring our health up. We got our first little secret here. If we go through the wall, we can actually go around here and we will get some additional armor, which brings us above 100, which for those that are familiar with retro shooters, you'll know that whenever you get an armor that's considered super, you can go above 100. We have our second secret here, which is given away by the light here. You can kind of see it on the ceiling there. But other than that, I know retro shooters just like to use invisible walls, and this wall just seems kind of here. So I'm hoping that it will be obvious enough, but at the same time, not that everyone will just go immediately try it. I do want to get this filled up with more enemies and items. Right now, a lot of the stuff that's here is for like testing purposes only. You'll see here we got our first gun. If we go ahead and pick it up, it does not auto swap yet. I'd like it to auto swap on new weapons, but then we can scroll our scroll wheel, and now we have a gun, which as you can see, we can fire the weapon. There is no ammo system at the moment. First, we were given our, regular door to operate, but now we are given a second door where it's telling us we need to get this open somewhere else. So this is how we teach them to use a button for the first time, which will get the door open. So now we've had the first type of door, the second type of door, and then we'll exit here and we're given a choice. If we head this way, we'll see our third type of door, which requires the blue key. For those familiar with retro shooters, you'll be like, oh, got it, because there's going to be a red, blue, and yellow key. And then we come out here and we come across our rogue character who does a little bit of a run around and then shoots at you. Kind of hard to dodge the bullets, which is kind of what I want, because I don't want it to be super easy. If he does LOS you, he does his best to get back in line of sight before he starts shooting again. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay because of that, so I might work with his AI to make him a little bit quicker with fixing the LOS into actually firing. If we come around the corner here, you'll see he will immediately try to fix that LOS issue, and then we can just go ahead and rotate him out, or her rather. And then you'll see I've got this little dining hall set up, and then a funny little Easter egg back here where they've got a full-fledged grill or gas stove. Oh, and then of course the little ordering window here. But let's keep going. We'll head over here, and this is the guards' quarters. So the guards' quarters is just a nice little place where you're gonna be able to explore, pick up more things. Again, it's not filled and populated completely yet, but you'll see here that we have a key, which is the blue key, which the HUD does react at the bottom right there. You'll see that the blue key is indeed open. So here we go. We have another door. This is the other type of door, which is still a button door, as you can see. But it doesn't just open. So when we hit this button, you'll notice that this door, it's still not open. And then we've got another button here and another button there. So if we hit all three, which I assume most people will do immediately, it still doesn't open. That's because this is the first difficult secret. And what you're gonna have to do is, it's actually a sequence. If we undo this one, you'll see that the door opens. So I said sequence might not be the correct word. Essentially this one needs to be in, that one needs to be in, and this one needs to be out. So it's more like a code. And then of course, if I undo the button, the door will then re-close. Right now, there is nothing inside the room. Uh-oh. Did I just find a bug? Well, there you go. That's what devlogs are for. If it recloses, it never opens back up. That's interesting. I haven't come across this bug yet. It does if we do that one, though. I'll have to look into why that might be. But anyway, you'll see that this is the final secret. I'm going to add the next tier weapon in there, so if you can figure it out, you can go into the armory here and get into that room, and you'll get the next tier gun. With the blue key established, I actually think there's another small bug right now. I don't think the door will open even with the blue key. Yeah, it's not gonna open, but that's okay. I know what the error is. In fact, because it's a devlog, how about I just show you? So right here, we have a door, and I put a bunch of public variables so I can edit each door on an instance-to-instance basis. And the reason this one isn't opening is I haven't set the open rotation yet. So right now the open rotation is set to 000. So it was actually functioning perfectly. The problem is the states in which the door can be in. So if we go ahead and grab our SM door and let's open it up like a good, I don't know, I think 80 is a good amount for this texture, this tile pack. So as you can see, -80 is where we're gonna go with that. So we'll go ahead and put that back at 0. We'll grab our blueprint, and on the open rotation, we'll set that to -80. So now whenever we actually go get the key, actually hold on, you know what, let's just not play through it. Let's just go all the way over here. We will switch to current camera location. We'll grab the key. Right over here, we'll take care of him. Yeah. And we'll move to the door, and now you'll see that it'll actually open, which is how it's supposed to do. Now we've got, obviously, some really bad things were happening. There was some visual storytelling to let you know that outside the door. And back here, as you can see, it gets pretty dark. And there's going to be a new enemy. It'll be a skeleton. And we're going to enter a very dark and scary area here, where there will be a open panel. And if you go into that panel, you will end the level and move on to the next level. Something I forgot to show you guys is this is currently, it has the wrong collision. As you can see, I can't actually get up this thing. I'm gonna fix the collision, but you can't get through this door. The whole point is that's gonna be locked anyway, because that would be like exiting the prison or the little dungeon area to go back to the castle. But obviously we don't want the player to immediately be in the castle, so instead we're gonna have the alternative route to go that way. And I have some future things planned for that, but I don't want to give away everything just yet. I know I brought it up, so I want to show you guys how I've decided to calculate the armor. I'm actually doing it exactly the same way that other retro shooters do. I think I specifically looked at Quake for my algorithm on how to manage it. We go to manage damage here. You'll see that first thing we want to do is check and see if we have armor. If we do have armor, basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, take the damage, I want you to divide it by 3, give me the ceiling, and set it as how much damage is going to be coming in. Because what happens whenever you have armor in a game like Quake is it says, okay, you're going to take 1/3 of the damage to your health and 2/3 are coming from the armor. So we take that damage temp, we take our armor and we subtract it. Or I apologize, 1/3 of it goes to the armor, 2/3 goes to your health. We subtract it from the armor, we make sure we have a min and a max, we set our new armor value, and then we take the damage temp, which is currently set to 1/3, multiply it by 2 to get the remaining damage, subtract that from our health, and then we check and see if we're dead, and if we are, we call the player death event that I've got here as an event dispatcher for anything that needs to watch for that. And of course, if we don't have armor, we're just running straight through the HP. And again, we will call the player death if we need to. So for those wondering how I actually went and I made this level, this was something I struggled with a lot, is getting a level that was of a decent size that the player could navigate in a semi-non-linear way. I wanted it to be somewhat linear simply due to the fact it's the first level, but of course, still has those exploration features that we love from the retro shooters. These are actually tiles. Every single thing you see here is a tile. So we have a roof that's a tile, we have a wall that's a tile, and floors that are tiles, and I had to put all these together to make what you're seeing here. And one of the problems I had was originally the level was extremely small. I mean, we're talking 3 rooms besides the prison hall. So you had like the prison hall and then maybe this main area here, and that was it. And I felt it wasn't enough. So long story short, I asked a friend who's good at this stuff, like, you know, how do we go about making it bigger? Because I couldn't really come up with any good ideas. And what we ultimately ended up deciding was we were going to make a list of all the things that you might see in a dungeon. So the list included a bunch of stuff that is not in the level, but what we decided is, one, we can reuse the prison hall. Why? Because it's a prison hall, so having multiple halls should be fine and it makes sense. So we've got 2 prison halls. And then what we did is, with that list of things that you might find in a dungeon, I decided on a place for the knights to eat that are down here, like, is it like a guards thing? And then of course the guards quarters, and then their little underground armory next to their quarters. And I just made all of these, and I didn't actually have them together. So I made these individually, and I can show you what I mean really quick. So for example, if I right click on Prison Hall 1, I can actually hit select and alt ascendance, and you'll see that it basically became its own Lego piece. It was a set of Legos put together that became one big piece, and now it's one big piece. And so I had both halls, I had the food, and I had the guards quarters with the armory. Everything else, I was like, what I'll do after I make all these big places is then I'll just make the halls, and I will figure out a way to get these to be connected. And that is how the level ended up coming to be the way that it's currently structured. And I plan on doing this with all my levels. And of course, the bigger the level, the more pieces I'll have to make and then put them together with, you know, whatever ends up being the halls, or if it's an outside area, you know, the streets, whatever you want to call it. So that's where I'm currently at. If you guys want to see more, let me know the specific parts that you want to see. I hope you guys enjoyed the first preview of Swords, Magic, and Bullets, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.